Welcome to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today, we're really getting into a fascinating stack of sources. They map out the evolution of China's e-commerce landscape.
Yeah, it's quite a story.
And, you might think of the big names like Alibaba, right?
Right.
But this market is way bigger than you might expect.
Oh, significantly.
Even when you adjust for GDP differences, say, compared to Japan, it's huge. And it's full of platforms like Xiaohongshu, Pinduoduo.
Things we don't really have direct equivalents for here.
Exactly. Makes them a bit tricky to get your head around from the outside.
And that's sort of our mission today, isn't it? We're going to use a framework, one that Chinese retailers actually use themselves.
A strategic tool.
Yeah, basically a simple matrix. 2 axes. It helps cut through all that complexity.
Okay.
We'll use it to show why China's EC looks the way it does, how it got there, and, maybe where it's heading. We'll map the players based on what your sources say.
So by the end of this deep dive, hopefully you'll have a much clearer picture of these platforms.
Yeah.
The ones you've heard about. And the strategy behind it all.
The competition driving it. It's one of the world's most advanced digital markets, really.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Just how big are we talking? What do the numbers say?
Well, the sources cite UNCTAD data, maybe a little dated, 2019, 2020, but still pretty eye-popping numbers.
Sure.
China's B2C ECGMV, that's the total value of stuff sold online to consumers.
Right. Gross merchandise volume.
Exactly. It was around $1,539 billion.
Wow. Okay, compared to?
Compared to Japan's $178 billion in the same period.
So what's that, like 8, 9 times larger?
About 8.6 times larger, yeah. And think about this. China's GDP is roughly 3 times Japan's.
So e-commerce adoption is way, way higher relative to the economy size.
Phenomenal, really. Astounding level of adoption.
Okay, 8.6 times larger. But the sources, they suggest it's not just about the size, is it? There's a different approach.
Absolutely. That comes through really strongly. The sources emphasize this relentless focus on differentiation.
Differentiation, meaning?
Meaning Chinese tech companies, they don't just copycat. They actively, strategically look for a unique position in the market.
Not just follow the leader.
No. And that mindset is a key reason why the ecosystem is so diverse. It's not just 1 or 2 giants controlling everything.
Okay, so how do they find that unique spot? What's the tool, the strategy?
The sources talk about this framework, often called people, goods, place, or huere in Chinese.
People, goods, place.
Yeah, it sounds simple, but it's really foundational. It forces you to define very clearly who are you selling to, the people.
Your target customer.
Exactly. Then what are you selling? The goods. And where do you reach them? The place.
Makes sense.
And the sources really stress getting specific about the people, not just, women, 20s, 30s. More like working moms, late 20s, totally stressed, almost no free time. That level of detail.
And getting that specific about the who helps define the where.
Often dictates it, yeah. Understanding the person tells you how and where you need to show up.
And that leads to the matrix you mentioned, mapping the market.
Precisely. They use a 2-axis matrix. It focuses on people, specifically consumer behavior and place.
Okay.
It's often shown as a 3x3 grid. They call it the 9 grid. It's a familiar way of visualize things in China.
Got it. A 3x3 grid. Let's break down those axes based on the source material. What are the 3 types of consumer behavior? The people axis.
Okay, so for consumer behavior, the sources identify 3 main types. First, search-based.
Search-based, like using a search engine.
Or just knowing what you want. You need, say, bath cleaner, a specific brand. You go to a shop or a website, you search for it, you buy it.
Goal-oriented, like traditional supermarkets or early Amazon.
Exactly. That's the classic model. Then there's content-based.
Content-based, how does that work?
Here, the shopping is driven more by discovery. You're consuming content. Think about browsing a bookstore, just looking around.
Window shopping, almost.
Kind of. Or scrolling through articles, videos online, maybe an influencer's feed. You weren't looking for anything specific, but you see something interesting in the content.
And it sparks a purchase.
Right. It's about inspiration, browsing, discovery, not a targeted search.
Okay, search, content, what's the third one?
The third is social-based.
Driven by social interaction.
Driven by trust and relationships. The sources give examples like buying traditional goods, maybe specific teas or cured hams.
Things where quality is hard to judge.
Exactly. Or even insurance. You buy because you trust the person selling it, or a friend recommended it, or it's popular in your community.
So the purchase comes from that social connection or trust.
Precisely. It flows from those relationships.
Okay, so search, Content, social, that's the behavior axis. What about the place axis?
That one's simpler. 3 categories: offline, online, and live.
Offline physical stores, online websites, apps, live streaming commerce.
You got it. Where the transaction actually happens.
All right, so we have our 3x3 grid. Search, content, social behaviors on one side, offline, online, live places on the other. How did this grid get filled up over time, according to the sources?
Well, think back before e-commerce really blew up. It was mostly offline, right?
Sure.
You had supermarkets for search-based offline, department stores, bookstores, maybe malls for that content-based offline browsing.
Just looking around.
Yeah. And then you had your traditional neighborhood shops maybe relying on trust for social-based offline.
Okay, makes sense. But then something happened that really pushed things online. The sources mention a specific event.
They do. A huge catalyst.
Yeah.
The SARS outbreak back in 2003.
Right. People didn't want to go out to shops.
Exactly. Suddenly, everyone was avoiding physical stores. This put massive pressure on businesses and created a huge opportunity to find online ways to sell.
And that's when some big names started or shifted online.
Absolutely. The sources mentioned JD.com starting its online journey then. It grew out of an electronics shop taking email orders, believe it or not. And crucially, Alibaba launched Taobao during this period.
Okay, so where did these early online players fit on our matrix? JD.com first.
JD, coming from electronics retail. It fits squarely in search-based online.
Like an online version of that reliable electronics store. You search for the model you want.
Exactly. Now, Taobao, it started as C2C.
Consumer to consumer, like an online flea market.
Yeah, think early eBay. Individuals selling to individuals. So initially, it was also primarily search-based online.
Searching through listings.
Right. And the sources note this because it was this huge marketplace with tons of sellers, lots of variety. It kind of inherently had elements of content-based shopping, too.
Like browsing, treasure hunting.
Yeah, that discovery aspect, and maybe even social-based because you might build a relationship with a specific seller you trust.
So even early Taobao wasn't purely one thing.
It had hints of the others, yeah. But its main function was search.
Now, didn't Tencent try to jump into this space early on? The sources mentioned a platform called PaiPai.
They did, and it's a great case study in the sources about not differentiating.
What happened?
They basically tried to just copy Taobao, build a direct competitor doing the same thing, and, well,
It didn't work out.
it failed
Yeah.
completely. The sources use it to really hammer home Jack Ma's point. In China, you have to innovate, you have to find your own angle. Just copying doesn't cut it.
Interesting. So that failure was actually important for Tencent's strategy later.
Hugely important. It seems like it taught them a lesson. Instead of trying to operate their own big e-commerce platform head-to-head with Alibaba, they shifted to investing in others.
Like JB.
Like JD, and later on, Pinduoduo, they decided to back winners rather than build their own from scratch in that crowded space.
Ah, okay. So Tencent's failure sort of reinforced that need for differentiation. And with search-based online getting crowded by Taobao and JD, the pressure grew to find those other empty squares on the matrix.
Exactly right. The focus shifted. Where else could you compete? That led to players targeting the other behavior types in the online space, like Xiaohongshu, also known as RD. The sources position it perfectly in content-based online.
The Instagram meets Pinterest example.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. Users are scrolling through feeds of photos, videos, often from influencers showing products beautifully.
And you can buy right there.
Seamlessly. You see something you like in the content, you tap, you buy. The browsing, the content consumption is the shopping experience. It filled that content online square.
Okay. And then who filled the social online square?
That was Pinduoduo.
Their group buying model.
Exactly. That's the core mechanic. You get a much lower price if you get other people to buy with you.
So you have to share the deal.
Right. You share the link usually via WeChat with your friends, family, social groups. It directly leverages your existing social network and trust to drive sales.
Like that traditional offline community buying, but scaled up online.
Precisely. It nailed the social-based online position.
Okay, wow. So now the online column is pretty full. Taobao and JD dominating search, Xiaohongshu in content, Pinduoduo in social. Where did the market go next?
Well, according to the sources, with online getting crowded, the next logical frontier was the next place. Live.
Live streaming commerce.
Yep. And interestingly, Taobao was an early mover here too. They pioneered Taobao Live.
Where did that start on the matrix? Search Live.
It probably started feeling a bit like search-based live initially, streamers demonstrating products, helping people find specific items in real time.
Like QVC online?
Sort of, yeah, but it evolved very quickly, especially with the explosion of mega influencers. Think Via Ligiaki.
The lipstick king.
That's him. They weren't just showing products, they were building massive trust, offering styling advice, entertaining millions.
It became much more about the personality, the content.
Absolutely. It quickly blurred the lines. They were operating across search, content, and social, all within that live format. They built huge audiences based on trust and engagement.
Okay, so Taobao Live expanded across the live row, and then came the dedicated short video platforms getting into e-commerce. Douyin and Kuaishou.
Right. And the sources suggest they carved out distinct niches within that live space, reflecting their platform DNA.
How so? Let's start with Douyin.
Douyin, which is the Chinese version of TikTok, the sources place it mainly in content-based live online.
Because of its algorithm.
Exactly. Douyin's strength is that super powerful AI-driven feed that just keeps serving you videos it thinks you'll like.
Right.
So when a product video or a live stream selling something just seamlessly appears in your feed between entertainment clips, it feels like discovery.
You stumble upon it while just watching videos.
Yeah. And you can buy directly from that video or stream. Shopping driven by algorithmic content discovery.
Okay. And Kuaishou, how is it different?
Kuaishou is positioned by the sources more as social-based live online.
More about relationships.
Much more. While it has content, its big emphasis is on the connection between the streamer and their followers. That private traffic idea.
Private trust.
Yeah, the streamer's dedicated audience. The sources give this example of a guy, Wu Yi, who built a following just sharing videos about appreciating wine, learning about wine.
Building trust and community first.
Right. And then he started selling wine via live stream to that community. People buy from him because they trust him, they feel connected through his content. It's less about stumbling on a product, more about buying from a trusted source within your network.
Fascinating. So looking at our 3x3 matrix now, the sources basically say it's full. Every square has players.
Pretty much, yeah. Search, content, social behaviors are all being addressed across offline, online, and live places.
So when all the obvious growth spaces are filled, what happens next?
The sources point to the next big strategic phase, crossover.
Crossover, meaning?
Meaning companies and retailers aren't just staying in their one square anymore. They're actively trying to operate across multiple squares at the same time.
Okay. Not just defending one turf, but playing on several. Can you give some examples from the sources?
Yeah, it's happening all over. A really simple one. You look at a Taobao product page now, it used to be just text and pictures, pure search-based.
Right.
Now, many pages have short videos embedded, so that seller can capture the person doing a targeted search, but also potentially engage them with content right there.
Covering two bases on one page.
Exactly. And the sources also talk about sellers getting more sophisticated. They might have their main store on Taobao or JD.
Their search-based hub?
But they're also actively using Douyin or Kuaishou, doing live streams, posting short videos.
Driving traffic
And sales. They're deliberately engaging customers through content or social discovery on one platform, maybe closing the sale there or driving them back to their main store. It's crossover EC across different platforms and different consumer behaviors.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And this crossover idea, this is where Tencent and WeChat become really interesting again, isn't it?
Absolutely pivotal, potentially. The sources highlight how WeChat has been building out its ecosystem. They added WeChat channels.
For short video and live streaming.
Right. And WeChat small stores for actual e-commerce transactions within the app.
So all the pieces are there?
The functional pieces, yes.
Yeah.
Within this one massive super app, they now have the potential to cover search, content, and social behaviors.
Across both online and live places.
All integrated with arguably the most dominant social network in China. It's a potentially massive crossover play, all in one place.
That sounds incredibly powerful, especially with WeChat's user base. But the sources also flagged some big challenges for Tencent, right? It's not a guaranteed win.
Definitely not guaranteed. The sources point out a few hurdles. First, despite having all those users and the tech pieces, Tencent historically lacks deep operational experience in e-commerce.
Logistics, managing merchants.
Exactly. Things Alibaba has spent decades perfecting. It's one thing to have the features, it's another to run a smooth, large-scale e-commerce operation.
And attracting sellers.
That's the other big thing. They need to convince vendors who are already established and comfortable on platforms like Taobao or JD that they can actually generate significant sales within WeChat. It's not enough just to show products. They need to prove they can drive conversions.
So huge potential for crossover, but still work to do.
A potential giant, yes, but with challenges to overcome.
Wow. Okay, we've really traced quite a journey here from, just offline stores,
Catalyzed by an event like SARS.
leading companies to strategically fill this 3 by 3 matrix based on how people shop and where they shop.
That crucial differentiation.
And now evolving into this really complex, really fascinating crossover phase where everyone's trying to play in multiple spaces.
That's right. And using this framework, this matrix from the sources, hopefully helps cut through some of that complexity.
Yeah, it helps you see why platforms like Xiaohongshu or Pinduoduo exist. They weren't just random apps.
No, they were very deliberate strategic plays, filling specific gaps based on understanding the customer, the who and the where.
Finding that unique spot.
It always comes back to that.
Well, hopefully this deep dive has given you, our listeners, a useful new lens, a way to look at China's digital commerce scene and understand the strategy underneath.
And, thinking about what the sources suggest, with this matrix basically full now and crossover being the main game, it does raise a big question for the future.
Richard.
Can the current big players really dominate this complex crossover competition? Or will we eventually need entirely new place axes on our matrix?
Something beyond offline, online, live.
Maybe. The sources briefly touch on things like the metaverse. Could that be a truly new place that unlocks the next wave of differentiation and growth?
A whole new dimension to the matrix.
Potentially.
Yeah.
And if that happens, or even within the current crossover battle, will we see the old giants, Alibaba and Tencent, truly face off again in a new way? After Tencent shifted to investing, will they now compete directly again in this crossover world, especially with WeChat's potential?
Lots to think about there. A potential new battleground.
Definitely something for you to mull over as you digest all these insights.